Hey, good morning.
Oh, yes. So the today's topic is about corporate social responsibility to corporate digital responsibility, and we will see how we will be, justifying our time. If we will have time, we will go into depth of corporate digital responsibility. But as per my discussions with some colleagues at the department, I have come to know that this subject, which is very contemporary and everyone is talking about it, corporate social responsibility, is unfortunately not being taught at our university. So one of the suggestion and recommendation is that we should introduce it. People are not only teaching this course, but also they are introducing exclusive master programs in corporate social responsibilities. Very big corporations, which I know, some of them are in Uzbekistan as well. They have a special person whose job is designated as corporate social responsible officer or corporate social responsible director. Means very high tier jobs are assigned to the people who deal in the area of corporate social responsibility. So this is just to emphasize on this point that subject is contemporary, subject is very important, and it should be taught not at bachelor's level if it is not allowed, but at least at the master level to give an overview of this new and emerging area. Corporate digital responsibility is even advanced in nature, and corporate digital responsibility as a terminology has emerged in couple of last 2 3 years, sorry. And even new concept is emerging, which is called as corporate virtual responsibility. So corporate digital responsibility is now evolved into corporate virtual responsibility or virtual corporate digital responsibility or virtual corporate social responsibility. So the first question is why we need to study corporate social responsibility. So corporate social responsibility, apparently the same question was asked when people were talking about environment. And everyone was saying that why we need to study environment. Yes, ecology is not relevant for business. Or if you are in a trend nowadays, if you are following the news, people are talking about ethics of technology, ethical use of new innovation technologies, which is also my area of expertise. And people ask that why we need ethical use of technologies, why we should talk about social business and so on. But historically, we have come to know that these topics, which apparently seems philosophical and theoretical in nature, have long-term impacts on our lives as an individual, as a member of society, as a corporation, as a state, and also as a member of global or international community. So these topics are very much in trend, and they are not in trend just because they sound good, but they have their pragmatic importance. So a little bit about the theoretical background. There are so many theories, and some of them we will look into in detail today, which support the idea of corporate social responsibility. But I personally like the idea of a social contract. So social contract, all of us know about social contract. We have studied in theory of state or in jurisprudence classes. And many scholars have talked about state of nature. And then there was a contract between people and the government, and people gave their rights to government in order to secure their property and individual rights. So I like the idea of Thomas Hobbes when he talks about state of nature is a state of war and everyone is fighting with each other. And to ensure peace, we need to make a social contract. So similar theoretical background can be given to the social um, responsibility or corporate social responsibility, that when we look at the business as a whole, you can just close your eyes and you can zoom out and look at the bigger picture. You will see that, like individuals, corporations are fighting against each other, and corporations are trying to put an upper hand on each other. Everyone is for profit, everyone is trying to generate revenue, and everyone is going to, every extent just to multiply his earning. Yes, and it is a kind of state of war, what Hobbes referred, that everyone is fighting against each other. And corporate social responsibility is somehow giving a sort of social contract so that we can have a peaceful corporate environment. So social contract theory, that we the people give our power to executives, and in return executives or our judiciary ensure our security, it protects our rights. So life, liberty, and property, which is demanded by individuals, it is ensured by executive and judiciary when we give up some of our rights. In corporate social responsibility as well, the corporations are expected to make a contract with individuals and with other corporations, between themselves, with the state, and with the world, in order to ensure the peace and prosperity and equal distribution of resources. So this is my understanding of theory on which corporate social responsibility is working. And I will show you some of the examples. For example, this recently emerged idea, we have seen that when the France put a ban on hijab, there was a great discussion in last 5 years, and ultimately France has to put a ban on hijab, and the Muslim all over the world were very much, furious that why these ultra liberal or pro democratic and so-called progressive leaders are intervening in our value system. Yes. So this was the time when corporations had to step back and rethink their strategy. And they came up with this idea of providing customized product according to the value system of the individuals. So when the France put ban on the hijab, all of these bigger manufacturers and these cosmetic companies, and cosmetics, it is a $1 billion industry. It is not a small a couple of $1 million industry. There are so many products, and each product worth billions of dollars. So it was a big challenge for them, that France, being the largest producer or exporter of cosmetic goods, French perfumes and French cosmetics, the female colleagues, they know more about it. Yes. So it was a big challenge, that how we will meet the demands of our Muslim clients. Yes, it is a $1 billion industry, and if everyone will start taking hijab, or if no one will take hijab, it will be a big blow to our industry. Yes, so they came up with the idea of providing customized product according to the value system of the consumers. And this is a good example I have taken from the website of Leroy, that the cosmetic agency, cosmetic company immediately came up with the idea that why not to cater the customized product to the Muslim female. Yes, and not only L'Oreal, but also very big sports giants, for example Nike, they introduce customized products for Muslim females. So at the same time they are selling their product without losing the Muslim market, and on the other side they are giving some sort of you can say that elements of sympathies, or they are trying to show to the Muslim population that we know your demand and we are trying to meet these demands. So basically they are not sincere about the idea of meeting their value system, but they are more concerned about uh, making profit. But from the you know, business law perspective, it is a very good case study. And I will definitely ask my colleagues to dig deep into this, that how the businesses are trying to meet the demands of individual value systems. And these examples which I have quoted are there to start with. So today's today's lecture is going to be very big lecture. And it was my responsibility, my social responsibility, to give you an overview of everything. So I have tried to incorporate a little bit of everything. So the topic is very big, and I will try to, slowly try to cover all the main dimensions of corporate social responsibility. So we will discuss corporate social responsibility in general. And inside corporate social responsibility, we will talk about socially responsible consumer. What is the role of consumer? What is a socially responsible consumer? How it is different from an ordinary consumer? Socially responsible goods. Goods can also be socially responsible. We will see into this. Show socially responsible culture, corporate culture. We have seen people using the word corporate culture. And when they say that corporate culture, it only means that people are running in different floors of a corporation. Yes. So when you wear your costume, or when you wear your formal clothes and you go to your work and you do your 9 to 6 job, it's mean that you are the part of corporate culture, but it is not the corporate culture. Corporate culture is not about dressing. Corporate culture is not about your timetable. Corporate culture is not about that you are sitting behind your laptop. But corporate culture and socially corporate responsible culture means how you interact with your peers, how you interact with your colleagues. So we will look into this. And socially responsible human resource management, very interesting, very big and very important topic, that why we should give less salaries to the female, why we should not hire the people with color, why we should not hire a newly wed female just because we are afraid that she will become pregnant and she will go on maternity leave and it will be a huge loss to our company. So why we should not hire an intern who is passionate enough to complete our job, but he is not able to fulfill the requirement of 5 year experience. I know that he can do my job, but for the tick mark or for the Galachki, I need someone who have 5 year work experience. Why I shouldn't hire my intern or a fresh graduate who can do the same job, but he doesn't have 5 year experience? So it is the question of corporate social responsibility and socially responsible human resource management. We will look into it. And then socially responsible production, that I am living in Uzbekistan and I get billions of dollars and I open a Samsa factory and I start producing bulks of samsas, and they are at cheaper prices because my, the volume of my work or abnyom is so big that I can establish my monopoly. And this will be a huge blow to all the samsa vendors who are sitting in every street. Why I shouldn't do this? Yes, it is the question of social responsibility and it is the question of socially responsible production. And then finally, if we will have time, or if we will not have time, we will have a separate class about digitally responsible cooperation. So what is a digitally responsible corporation? It is the question of corporate digital responsibility. And we will look into it, that how a nexus is developing between technology and the business, and how this nexus is impacting our interaction between individual, between peers, between corporations and state and the world community. Yes. So let's discuss about ethics. And when we talk about ethics, everyone has its own definition of morality. Everyone has its own definition of, good and bad. And I have no concern with it. There is no argument on your perception, your perception is good or bad. But for the sake of being a responsible or moral person, we have to take a starting line and we need to define what does it mean by ethics with regard to the corporate social responsibility. So business has to take account of its responsibilities to society in coming to its decision, but society has to accept its responsibilities for setting the standards against which those decisions are made. And I told you already that it is the society which decides what is right and wrong. And it is the society which monitors, which gives standards and preferences, and which keep check and balance. And sometimes it punishes if you are not meeting the demands of societies. So by social responsibility, we mean the intelligent and objective concern for the welfare of society. First of all, that it is not me, it is not you, it is society who will decide what is right and wrong, even in terms of businesses, that restrains individuals and corporate behavior from ultimately destructive activities. So we don't want Coca-Cola to do monopoly of beverage in Uzbekistan so that our local beverages would not flourish. We have to keep and check and balance. We are Uzbek societies. We cannot let a foreign country to do the monopoly of education system, because we want to keep a room for our local institutions, our local universities to flourish as well. And there shouldn't be no monopoly on the education. Yes. So that's why we will restrain individuals and corporations from ultimately destructive activities, no matter how immediately profitable. We don't want to get your money. Yes. If you say me that I want to do the monopoly of this business in Uzbekistan, as a politician, it is my responsibility. I shouldn't look at the profit. I shouldn't look at the numbers, but I should project it in future, because it is the matter of the evolvement or evolution of my local industry as well, and leads to the direction of positive contribution to the human betterment, which is the most important thing, variously as the latter may be defined. Yes. So this is the general understanding and the ethical background that why social responsibility is something which cannot be neglected. So if I ask you how, and I have actually asked many of my colleagues in Uzbekistan how they understand corporate social responsibility, and they have different definitions. Some say that it is business ethics, or let's start it with social business. Many think that corporate social responsibility means social business, but social business is a completely different concept. So business ethic, corporate citizenship, corporate citizenship is an similar or analogous concept, and it has been used in Russian literature. I have seen it. Corporate citizenship is used analogous to corporate social responsibility, but it is also a different idea. Sustainability or corporate environmental management, business and society, business and governance, business and globalization, stakeholder management, and just governance. Yes. So I have written governance in the end, because all the businesses and all the organizations in post-Soviet countries, they have some sort of, is there any question? Hello? No? Can you hear me?
Hello, yes, sir, you can continue.
Okay, so just keep, if you have any question, you can ask me question. And because sometimes I go too much into my trance, or you can say that philosophical state, then when I'm just talking to myself. Yes. So just keep asking me questions. If you have any questions, just you can go ahead. Yes, I am very comfortable with this style of teaching, so you don't need to wait when I will start or stop. You can just ask me the question right away. Okay. And it will also give me an idea that you are following what I am saying. Sometimes, as I said, that sometimes it happens to me that I go too much deep into philosophy, and then it is only me who is talking to myself. Okay, so here I gave some of the alternatives which are being labeled as corporate social responsibility, but they are different. Yes, they are different concepts. So defining corporate social responsibility, how we will define corporate social responsibility? In general terms, corporate social responsibility are the responsibilities that businesses have to the societies within which these businesses operate. Yes. So if I am a cotton factory, I should think about the locality where I am working. So if I am opening a cotton factory or any factory, the first right of job, the people who will work in my factory are those people who are located in this area. Okay. So right, first right is that I should give job to those people who are located nearby. Yes, it is my responsibility toward the society. So corporate social responsibility is the responsibility of the businesses toward society, and I gave you an example. Yes. The European Commission defines corporate social responsibility as a concept whereby companies decide voluntarily to contribute to a better society and a cleaner environment. So they have given two criteria that you will voluntarily contribute to the betterment of society. It is up to you. You can contribute to the education. You can contribute to the capacity building. You can contribute to the awareness. You can contribute to the democracy. You can contribute to anything voluntarily you think is useful for the society. And the other thing is that you should care about the ecosystem. You should care about the ecology and environment. Specifically, corporate social responsibility suggests that a business identify its stakeholders, groups and incorporates their needs and values within its strategic and operational decision-making process. So this is a more inclusive definition. So corporate social responsibility, when the people who are the key stakeholders, or you can say the leader of the institution, think about their people who are working underneath. Yes, their values within its strategic and operational decision process. So whenever they make a decision about the company, they think about the people as well. They don't ignore that the people are there. They don't just think about making money, but they think about the people as well. Okay, so I have given you a general definition. I have given you a definition of European Commission, and I have given you a definition within the corporation, what is corporate social responsibility. Why do it? There are three models which define, the corporate social responsibility, or advocate for corporate social responsibilities have various bases. And one of the models is to find a nexus between citizen and economics. So citizens and economics, we will see in the long run in this lecture that how an individual has an impact on the society on the global level. Sometimes we as individual think that I am just a single person. I cannot impact on the economy. But in this lecture, I will show you that how an individual has an impact on the global economic system. Okay, not meant to be exclusionary, nor all encompassing. Encompassing means to include. They simply assist us in discussing areas of differentiation. Yes. So when we talk about different models of corporate social responsibility, these models are not conclusive. I mean, these are not in black and white. These are not 100% what you should adopt. These models are just there to help us in understanding the concept. Okay. So when you will read these three models, you will see that these models are very general, and you can come up with your own model as well. Yes. So if your model is convincing for your company, why not to go with your own model? Yes. You can go on YouTube and you can find people. You can find so many videos where a company's director is gifting a car to each of the employee. Yes, you can find some example. You can also find example when one company's director is so much happy from the profit which is generated in the last year that he gives a free international ticket to travel anywhere in the world. Yes. So these are the examples which are there. The point which I'm trying to make that regardless of the models, you can come up with your own model of corporate social responsibility, but the ultimate goal of corporate social responsibility is to take care, yes, to take care of the people who are working there. So the first model is the corporate citizenship model. Corporate citizenship model, and a good example which I could give you was this Ben and Jerry's ice cream. It is a very famous American ice cream company. So what they did, they were initially a small business, and then they started writing postcards to the government official, to the Congress members or the members of Ali Majlis, you can say. So they started writing postcards to them, and they started demanding different rights for children. Yes. So ice cream, basically it is loved by the children. So they thought about helping children, and they started, writing letters. No? Yes? No? Okay. So they started writing postcards to the members of parliaments and different influential people and asked them to contribute towards the children health and children rights. So this is a good example to be quoted about the corporate citizenship model, that when a business took an initiative to help and to get resolve a genuine problem. Yes. Otherwise, this business has his own problem. Business could focus only on making profit. Yes. But they took a responsibility, and they showed that they are a responsible corporate citizen, and they tried to influence on the government decision making with regard to the children. Yes. So this is the model which is called as the corporate citizenship model, when the corporation or the business act as an individual and start interacting with the government and try to influence on the government and try to remind them their responsibilities towards the society and try to resolve the social problem. So this is the corporate citizenship model of corporate social responsibility. The other model is the social contract model. I like this very much, and I started my 2Z's lecture with this, that some corporations, corporate social responsibility is the corporations reap the benefits of serving as a community citizen and therefore owe a reciprocal obligation to the society. So corporate citizenship and corporate social responsibility, the difference is that in corporate social citizenship model, the corporation tries to involve the government. Okay, so it will become the corporate citizenship model. But in social contract model, the corporate itself initiate the projects which are beneficial for society without involving a third person. So they think that it is our responsibility, because we are also the part of society, to contribute towards the social development. And that's why without involving government or without involving third party, we should contribute toward the development of society. This is called as the social contract model. And then the enlightened self-interest model. And pragmatically, all the companies are working on this model, that when I will keep it very simple and I will explain it in 2 lines. When you make a lot of profit, from your business, you need to share this profit with the society. Okay, so this is the enlightened self-interest model. Yes. So the idea is that when the businesses are making a lot of money, they share this profit with the society. They ultimately automatically understand that this profit is coming from the society. That's why we need to return it back. Okay, so the both party, the giver and taker, they become enlightened. This is the simple understanding of this model. So main concept of corporate social responsibilities, I have given you them three models. I have given you definitions. Now I'm putting it in one line with the reference for the sake of quoting somewhere. Corporate social responsibilities. What is the corporate social responsibility? Firms have responsibilities to societies, including economic, legal, ethical, and discriminatory or philanthropic. Or you can also include environmental responsibility. This is the definition of corporate social responsibility. Social contract. There is a tactic social contract between the firm and society, because contract best owes certain rights in exchange for certain responsibilities. Society is giving me profit. It is my responsibility to return this profit. So this is a kind of social contract. And stakeholder theory, that a stakeholder is any group or individual who can affect or is affected by the achievement of an organizational purpose, argues that it is the company's strategic interest to respect the interest of all of its stakeholders. And in the first two slides, I showed you how these cosmetic industry people and how these, people, they immediately come up with the ideas to meet the demand of individual's value system. Yes. So they identify the stakeholder. They know that what this stakeholder wants, and they immediately come up with the idea to meet the demand of that stakeholder. So these are three very important definitions. You need to remember them. Corporate social responsibility is equal to political economy to some extent. I have more simplified this for you. The rights and responsibilities assigned to private industries. The rights and responsibilities assigned to private industries in the sense that the profit is not the ultimate goal which is expected by the politicians while giving licenses. In an ideal case scenario, when government issues licenses, government expect from the business that this business will help them in solving many social problems. So government thinks that this business will be a parallel government. Government thinks that this business will be an important stakeholder and share the burden of the job which government has to do. Okay. So in this sense, corporate social responsibility can be labeled as political economy. To whom does business...
Excuse me, Professor.
Yes.
Excuse me, just before two slides, you just talked about Enlightenment concept. Yeah, that's it. You just said that sharing business profits with other individuals is more beneficial for the company, right?
Yes, yes.
And how? I don't understand that. What's the benefit from that? Or just sharing with profits in terms of what? How matters? I mean.
Yes, I understood your question, and I didn't stop on this slide. And basically, we are talking about corporate social responsibility. The idea behind corporate social responsibility is that people who are working in a company, their demands should be met by the directors. Okay. So the idea is that when you are making money, if you invest this money on the people who are working with you, this will give motivation to the people to work harder. Yes. And ultimately, it is going to be beneficial for your company. Similarly, in the broader concept, the idea is that government is generating revenue, and government is generating revenue by the people. Yes. And the profit or the revenue they are investing again in the people, it will improve the production level, productivity of the people, which will ultimately benefit to the country. Okay. So in this regard, when we talk about enlightenment, we say that the companies have become enlightened. Enlightened means something has come in their mind. Yes. So the companies have understood that the people are very important. So whenever they make profit, they should share this profit with the people so that the people should work with more motivation. I am coming to my job and I am thinking about my children. Yes, because my salary is very low. So my whole concentration will be on my children, not on my job. But if company is intelligent enough or enlightened enough, he knows that what is the basic minimum salary and what are the electricity expenditure, how much I have to pay for the communal slugi and how is the tuition fee. Yes, they will give me a suitable salary. And when I will come to the job, I will not think about my children. I will think only about my job. And this will be beneficial for the company, and company will generate more revenue, which will again invest it on me. I think I cleared the point. Yes, if it is a very big discussion, and we can speak on it, and I can quote numerous examples. But the main idea behind this, the enlightenment means that in 21st century, companies have understood that they should invest on people, and good companies are actually doing this. When they generate good revenue, they share this revenue with the people who actually who were the main factor behind generating this revenue. So in this sense, the companies should share the profit. And the corporation model, if you are a business student, you know that the good companies or the big companies, the CEOs or the members of board of directors, majority of them, they have their salaries assigned. It is very rare occasion that they take a percentage from the profit, but most of the good companies, they assign salaries to the stakeholders, big stakeholders, including the members of board of directors or the CEOs. Instead of giving them profit, they give them salary and use the excessive amount of money or the profit for the other employees. Yes. So this is the model, enlightenment model, when the company have understood that we should think about the people. Yes. So
Thank you.
to whom does business owes this social responsibility? Yes. This is also your question there. That Pachimu, yes, why they should share the profit? To whom does the business owes this social responsibility? He doesn't owe to anyone. Yes, it is out of his own will. The firm exists in relationship with many stakeholders, and these relationships can create a variety of responsibilities. It may not be possible to satisfy the needs of each and every stakeholder in situation. Therefore, social responsibility would require decisions to prioritize competing and conflicting responsibilities. So apparently there is no responsibility when it comes to the corporate social responsibility. It is all about the feeling. It is all about the feeling and the gut feeling of the good stakeholders or CEOs or directors. Tell them that they should care about the people and the society, and that's why the businesses owe this responsibility. The nature and extent of the responsibility, to what extent they should be responsible, and I will not read this slide, I will just say you in one line. The nature or the extent of responsibility has no boundaries. So when the profit is being generated, this profit can be used in any dimension. There are no hard set rules that you must use it in this dimension. The main idea is that you should feel the responsibility, and to be a responsible citizen, you can use your resources for the betterment of society. Now it is up to you how you want to use it. Previously, I gave you the example of this ice cream company, that they were making ice cream and they were working for children, and no one told them to write letters to the members of parliament. It is out of their own goodwill that they thought that they should be contributing toward the betterment of the children health and the children right, and they took this initiative. The nature of responsibility. Social responsibility is what a business should or ought to do for the sake of society. Now it is the summary of everything, and to your question as well, that the social responsibility is what a business should or should not, I will also include if we think about environment, and ought to do for the sake of societies. What should a business do? Business has the responsibility to obey the law. First of all, the business should obey the law. Business should not bypass for the sake of generating profit. Many of you can think that. Many of you think that maybe we should bypass the law to generate more profit and then to use this profit for the betterment of society. No. Within the regime of law, within the legal regime, you should generate profit. So the first and utmost responsibility of the business is to obey the law. Yes, philosophers would contended that we have responsibilities beyond the law. Yes, what I said. That distinguishes between different types of responsibilities on a scale from more or less demanding and binding. But our point of view is that regardless of having a consequentialist approach, we should obey the law and should not think only about making profit. Yes. So philosophical priorities in corporate social responsibilities, in 3 words: do good. Do good for yourself, do good for your people who are working in your company, do good for your company, do good for the society, do good for the country, and do good for the world. So do good and do not harm. Do not harm yourself, do not harm your employees, do not harm the environment, do not harm the corporate culture by creating monopolies, do not harm the government by not paying tax, and do not harm the world. Yes. And when it comes to do not harm, then again, there are so many philosophies there, because if someone is not harming, the other one is harming. Our responsibility to do good, it is the responsibility of the individuals, it is the responsibility of the company. And I think that I have spoke a lot about it. I don't need to speak about it, and we will just move on. This is a good question. This is a good legal question as well. That who is to decide what is good or responsible? I give you an example. In our legal system, I am not talking about Uzbekistan, I am speaking in general. In our legal system, if you prove that you have done something good, hello, yes? You have a question? No? Okay. So in our legal system, and you might also have experienced this, that governments sometimes gives you tax relaxation if you prove that you have done something good or responsible. If you prove that you have sent 20 of your employees for capacity building or повышение квалификация for a training, and you have spent certain amount of money on it, then you will get tax relaxation. Yes, you can justify that you have spent the money in a way which is good and responsible. You can say that I have done so much charity, and you can show the bills, and you will be relaxed in your taxation. But the legitimate question, and the question stands there, that who is to decide what is good and responsible? Companies sometimes can say that we have given 50% extra salaries to our employees, and it is good and responsible. That's why we will not pay taxes. So it is contestable that who is to decide what is good and responsible. And if you have understood the company perspective, now I'm going to talk about the consumer perspective, the social cost of goods and social responsibilities, how the individuals articulate in this whole game of corporate social responsibility. So what are the social costs? Social cost in new classical economics is the sum of private cost, resulting from a transaction and the cost imposed on the consumer as a consequence of being exposed to the transaction for which they are not compensated or charged. So don't read this because it will make you bored. Look at this slide. So what is the social cost? When you buy petrol, and let's suppose you buy petrol for £5. This is your personal cost. When you buy petrol, you spend only £5. But there are external costs as well. For example, congestion. When the petrol burns, the engine burns the petrol, it costs £2.5. And when you burn this petrol, you are also causing pollution. Yes. So this pollution is equal to £1.5. So now the social costs are your private costs, which is, personal cost and external cost. The sum total of both of these costs is called as social cost. Okay? So these are some of the other examples. For example, when you smoke and you spend 1,000 som on one cigarette, so you think that you have spent only 1,000 soms. But this one cigarette is also causing air pollution. It is also causing risk for other people as a passive smoker. It will litter your environment. There are health costs. So the sum total of all of these costs is also included with the private cost of cigarette, which was $1,000, 1,000 som, but now it is 10,000 som because there are external costs as well. So the social cost is the sum total of personal cost and external cost. And we as a consumer only think about personal cost. We don't think about external costs. Yes. For example, when we buy something, we buy a plastic wrapper or a packet. Yes. And we, after bringing this product at home, we simply throw this packet into the dustbin. Now this packet which is thrown into the dustbin, it has external cost. It will cause pollution. It will cause environmental damages, other environmental damages. It will have its physical weight, which itself is a problem. Yes. So these are the external costs. So when we make some of the personal costs, we don't calculate the external costs, but the social costs are much more higher than what you have paid for this. I think I have made clear this point. Yes. So why it is important, why we should think about social costs of the product. Rational choice theory suggests individuals will only consider their private costs. And I gave you the example that when we smoke, we think only about the price of cigarette. We don't think about the price of pollution. Yes. For example, if deciding how to travel, we will consider the cost of petrol and the time taken to the drive. However, we won't take into consideration the impact on the environment and on congestion level for other members in the society. So that's why the social cost is important. Therefore, if the social costs significantly vary from private cost, then we may get a socially inefficient outcomes in a free market economy. So just imagine that if you are spending £5 and the government is spending £4, yes, because the social cost is £9. It is a dangerous situation that every £5 which you are spending, government is spending £4. Yes. So while spending £5, you should think about the other expenditures as well and try to keep the external costs low so that the social cost should be low. Yes. And then it will be a responsible decision. Yes. So when I am smoking and I am thinking only about my pleasure. I am not thinking about the society. So I should think about the society as well and try to keep the social costs low. So this will be my responsible behavior as a consumer perspective. Then there is a concept, mathematically or statistically, if you want to write it on a page, you can see the marginal social costs. We can calculate them. So marginal social costs is simply you can minus from the social cost, you can minus the external cost or the private cost, and you can find the third number. But it is just a statistical terminology you should have in your mind. Social efficiency or efficacy. The social efficiency, if the external costs are low, we can say that this product is socially efficient, in simple words. Okay. So the social benefit is equal to private benefit plus external benefit, and social cost is equal to private cost and external cost. And if you minus the cost from the benefit or benefit from the cost, you can find the product is efficient or not. So the idea is that try to keep the social costs minimum, and this will be your socially responsible behavior as a consumer. Yes. And then another concept, very important concept, that how the culture can impact the cost. Yes. We should also think about socio-culture sustainability or the cultural sustainability. Respect for the local culture and human rights in operation, respect the laws and customs. And this is for the individuals, and this is for the corporations as well, because there are so many biases with regard to the culture. And what is culture? Yes. Culture is how you interact with the members of other cultures, how the corporations interact with the members of other corporations, how the individual from one nationality interact with the individuals of other nationalities. Yes. So we need to develop our intercultural competence, which is very important from the social responsibility perspective. Intercultural competence means that you should learn about the cultures of other people and you should accommodate the demands of that culture. Yes, it will be your socially responsible behavior. And when the people start living in harmony in an organization, or the people start living in harmony in between different governments, if you are talking about it, we call it that intercultural harmony, intercorporational harmony, yes, interinstitutional harmony, or intergovernmental harmony. What does it mean? When the people start understanding intercultural cultural differences, try to overcome their cultural competences, and they start living in harmony. This is a responsible behavior from the cultural perspective. So culture itself is dynamic. There is no definition of culture as well. Today's culture is different from the culture of 17th century. Yes, 400 years ago, the culture was completely different. So the culture is a dynamic concept. It's mean that our standards and preferences with regard to culturally being responsible or cultural responsibility should also be improving with the passage of time. Otherwise, there are so many stereotypes are there. For example, this picture, a very good example. So the lady on the right in the burqa says that nothing is covered but her eyes. What a cruel male-dominated culture. So the girl from Middle East, or let's say Asia, has a view about the females in Europe or USA or very liberal, progressive, democratic countries, so-called postmodern societies. They think that these societies are male-dominated. That's why the girls have to act in a way. Yes. On the other side, the ladies from the liberal democracies or postmodern societies are very advanced, so-called, in terms of human rights. Yes, they think that everything is covered but our eyes. What a cruel male-dominated culture. So both of them, they are blaming the culture. And both of them, they have their own arguments. Yes, you cannot say that you are right or you are wrong. If you are in America and you argue with them, they have so many arguments convincing to themselves that why the Middle Eastern or Asian culture is inferior to them. So this is a big cultural difference, a big cultural incompetence. and we need to think about it in order to overcome the cultural harmony and to be responsible toward the society. Yes. And two more concepts. One is to overcoming the technological misunderstanding. Sometimes it happens that one culture or one corporation is using a technology which is completely new to the other. So this is just a technological or technical misunderstanding. And the other concept is the concept of culturalization. When you bring ideas from other parts or from other corporations to your company. You might have heard in Uzbekistan many people talking about Mijdonorodny Oput. Yes. So what does it mean by Mijdonorodny Oput? Basically, they think that it is to bring culturalization. It is to overcome some of the intercultural competencies. Sometimes it works, sometimes it not work. Majority of the time it not works, because every culture has its own individualities. And this is also a good elaboration of this technological managements within the corporation, which can lead to the technological misunderstanding. Yes. So different cultures have their own comfort zones, their own moral codes, their own uniforms. Yes. Similarly, the original cultures. For example, it is very common for Latin Americans to enter into the personal zone of an individual. For example, this lady is too close to this person. If you talk about Indians or Bangladeshis, they don't touch to the other people. Yes, they stay away. If you talk about Japanese or Chinese, they are too polite and they have so many rituals while shaking hand and giving, visiting cards and so on. Yes. So what does it mean by cultural incompetence? Means that we don't understand why the other people are doing this. And from our perspective, if we want to be culturally responsible, it is our duty to understand why they are doing this. Yes. We cannot expect other people to do what we do. On the other side, it is our responsibility to learn why they are doing this. Yes. Because everyone has its own logic with regard to this. Yes. These are some of the maps I have downloaded from the internet. You can see that what people think about other cultures. For example, Americans thinks that these Russian people, they are communists. Yes, and only America is the civilized world, and Canadians are vegetarians, and so on. Yes, and you can go on internet and you can find these funny maps which talks about stereotypes, which usually people have about other people with regard to their culture and with regard to their corporate world. So the point which I was trying to make until here, that culture is also a very important factor when it comes to the culture, corporate social responsibility. And instead of forcing other people to adopt your culture, we need to learn about their culture, because it is our problem that we are not understanding their culture. So now I will give you some of the definitions with regard to the socially responsible consumer. What does it mean by socially responsible consumer? And there are different concepts. For example, ethical consumerism. Ethical consumerism means moral purchasing, ethical sourcing, ethical shopping, or green consumerism. For example, when you buy the products, you don't buy the plastic packets. Yes. When you buy, don't buy the plastic packet. It is your ethical consumeristic behavior. So consumer ethics is an underleveled ops specialism of business and marketing ethics, within which most publications have focused on bad rather than on good ethics, and on consumer dishonesty rather than consumer idealism or consumer responsibility. No need to remember these definitions. Just keep in mind that it is not always the corporation who has responsibility. It is the consumer as well who has responsibility towards the corporation and the society. Yes. And this is a good example that on one side, on left side, you can see that female from Africa is holding her baby, and this is the natural posture, and the baby is very comfortable apparently, and the mother is also very comfortable, and historically, traditionally, this was the thing which should be done. But on the right side, you can see that there is a branded prom, and it cost thousands of dollars without any exaggeration. Yes. and, and and what is the ethical consumeristic point of view? Ethical consumeristic point of view is that we should avoid these luxuries. Yes. And I think you are agree with me as well. That when there is a possibility to give a more humanistic touch to something, we should use that touch instead of spending or instead of wasting money on something which can be avoided and which is environmentally contagious and which can cause damages to our society financially or morally. Because obviously when one lady will be buying this prom of thousands of dollars, definitely she will tell her friends, and many friends will not be able to afford it because it is just very expensive. In the same amount of money you can buy a second-hand old car. So the responsible behavior is that instead of spending or wasting a lot of money or something, try to utilize this money for the betterment of your peers and society. It is ethical consumerism in this regard. Are you still with me? Hello? Are you following me? Hello? There are 17 people. Okay, Hamdana ka. What about others? I just want to make sure that it is not only me who is talking to myself. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. This is an example out of my own interest, biology and responsible production. And this is very interesting example. This is very, very interesting example. I force you to pay attention on this. Yes. This company manufactures the female shoes, Louboutin. I don't know, Louboutin is very close to the original pronunciation. Yes, Louboutin. And they are very expensive shoes or the sandals for the female. Yes. And this person is the manufacturer. So the quality of these sandals is that they have these red soles. You can see these soles are red. And this person has came up with the idea of painting these soles into red. And he said that one day he was sitting in a cafe and one of her friend, was wearing a sandal, and he used the lipstick, or she used the lipstick and painted the sole into the red and made a joke. But he came up with this idea that why not to make the original sandals which has red soles. And now they are one of the most expensive sandals. Many females, they buy and they are willing to spend thousands of dollars for buying these Louboutin sandals. So what is the philosophy behind this? The philosophy is that red is hot than black. Red has hot energy and black has cold energy. And this idea has been taken from, in many cultures, especially in India and Pakistan and Bangladesh, females, they paint their hands and feet with henna. And this is a special plant which is used for coloring. And when there is a wedding or when there is a special occasion, the girls, they paint their hands and feet with the red color. And this is the same concept which is used by the Louboutin, that this is an ancient philosophy, and this is a modern concept which he has discovered and now making thousands of dollars out of it. So the idea is that when the boys look at the red palms and red feet of the female, they become attracted towards them, because the palm of the hand and feet, they are highly private part. in the female body. So when a female color it in red, it is very attractive for the man. So that's why when a girl is wearing a sandal with the red palm, it is very much attractive for the opposite gender. And that is the code which he cracked by using a biological philosophy, and now he's making thousands of dollars. So this is a very intelligent move in terms of studying the consumer behavior. But if I ask you it is ethical or not, it is up to you. It is up to you, because this is the question of individual preferences and standards. It is the question of how we decide our moral preferences. For some people it is good, for some people it is bad. For some people it is good that it gives more confidence and beauty to the female, but on the other side it is destructing for the male. And just imagine a female is wearing red sandals, all the male in the corporation will be looking at her, and instead of focusing on their business, instead of focusing on their job, they will be focusing on her feet. Yes, in this dimension it is not an ethical move. And people have cracked the codes how to manipulate the colors, how to manipulate the yin and yang, and how to use different kinds of perfumes and smells to manipulate the people in a corporation, and so on. Yes, so all of these are just there to give you an idea of the social value of the product. All the products all around us which we think that apparently have nothing to do directly or indirectly with the corporate culture have direct impact because they have social values. That's why we have uniforms in the corporations. Why we have uniform in the corporation? So that the people should not be in a race to look more beautiful than each other. Why we have uniforms in the school? So that the people who cannot afford expensive or branded clothing should not feel inferiority complex. Yes. Similarly, many people argue that in corporations we should have uniform, because if we will not have uniform, the female and male will try to spend a lot of money on their dressing just to look good. And this will distract other people, and it will distract the concentration. And it is also a wastage of money. That's why we should promote the uniform culture in a corporate sector, in a corporate environment. And it is related to the social value of the goods. Yes. So let me just see how many slides are left and where we are. Unfortunately, we are half there. And so many things are left. Let me see from where we can. Okay, just let it move. Okay. So for example, this is a good example to show the drinking and smoking syndrome. Drinking and smoking syndrome, many culture, they appreciate the drinking and smoking. In Uzbekistan also, if you go in some of the multi-level corporations and very big companies, they have a coffee culture. People think that the coffee or the smoking is a way to bring people close. Many of our colleagues also, when they have to smoke, they don't smoke alone. They find other people with whom they can go out and smoke. Similarly, when you have to discuss something, you ask people to come and sit over the coffee. For some people, it is good. For some people, it is bad. Obviously, in our culture, it is bad, but it is very much respected and very much appreciated in many other cultures. For example, shisha in Middle East. Now, this kalyan or smoking hookah is prohibited in many cultures and considered as something having negative connotation. But if we go into the Middle East, shisha or kalyan is very much a social construct. People appreciate when you invite them on shisha. They think that if you will come and sit with them and smoke shisha, it will help them bring together. Yes. So just imagine similar symbols in your corporations. and adaptability for the other people who are new to this culture. Yes. Similar view we have about smartphone or technological gadgets. People think that they are bringing people closer to each other. We are connected with each other through Facebook, WhatsApp, Telegram, and Instagram, and so on. On the other side, many corporations think that it is a huge blow on our interpersonal relationship. Interpersonal communications are spiritually getting dead in the era of technologies. So this is also a digital responsible dimension of this thing. Yes. Okay. Yes, let's talk about. So the key issue in corporate social responsibility, some of the main key issues are related to the labor rights. We should give good salaries. We should not hire children as a labor. We should not force people to work. Yes, 9 to 6 has become a kind of forced labor. We should give people to organize themselves. We should allow people to make, profsayus. We should allow people to make their working groups. And we should allow people to lobby for their rights. We should ensure the safety and health. Corporations should think about the environment. Corporations should think about the human rights. Corporations should think about the poverty alleviation. For example, job creation. I told you that when you make a factory, when you start a business, try to hire the local people. Try to give the jobs to the local community, because in the local community, you will be populating, you will be polluting their environment, you will be using the local resources. So the first right on the job is that you should hire the local people unless you need someone with extreme technical expertise. So these are some of the key issues in corporate social responsibility. If your corporation is meeting the demands of these issues, you can say that your corporation is socially responsible and your corporation is doing good. So what are the key drivers for corporate social responsibility? NGO activism, responsible investment, litigation, and government and IGOs initiatives. These are some of the things which are promoting corporate social responsibilities around the world. Yes. So there are different NGOs who are talking about environment. There are governments who have made laws for responsible investment. For example, governments demand from the investors that when you will come and, for example, he is coming and he is doing mining. So they say that, okay, you can invest, but you will not damage to the environment. It is about responsible investment. Litigation means we should have strong, strict laws and strong and efficient regulatory laws to regulate and promote the corporate social responsibility culture. And then there are numerous government and international governmental initiatives. There are different standards has been set, and different governments have made their internal regulations which should be considered by the corporations. And then we can say that this is a corporately social responsible, these are some of the initiatives taken by the international organizations: UN Global Impact, UN Principles for Responsible Investment, and all of them, they correlate with the corporate social responsibility. Yes. So implications for enterprises. What are some of the implications for enterprises for corporate social responsibility? First of all, they should think about the policies, that these policies are responsible policies. Then they should monitor the system that it is complying with the policies. And then the feedback or the reporting is very important, that these policies are working or not. Okay. And yes, this is important. There are international standardizations like ISO. ISO has this standard, ISO 14000 and ISO 26000 about social responsibility. And we know that ISO has empirical methodologies to calculate if a company is meeting with the standards or not. Okay, so the good corporations, they try to get this ISO certifications in order to show to the future employees or the other corporations or to the government that they are complying with the demands of corporate social responsibility. Okay, and these are some indexes which shows or reports the state level corporate social responsibility, or how much state is concerned about the corporate social responsibility inside the corporation, and report them in their annual indexing and ratings. Yes. And this is the last slide about corporate digital responsibility. So the corporate digital responsibility is not different from corporate social responsibility, although we can talk about corporate digital responsibility separately. So corporate digital responsibility, in simple words, is that the data which is collected by the corporations should not be exploited. The data which is collected by the corporations should not be exploited. For example, if the corporation knows my Facebook, WhatsApp, Telegram, they can know about my timing. So they should not exploit me by giving me extra work in my free time. Okay. If the corporation knows by technological means how much free time I have, they should not give me more work just because I have free time, and they know it by using certain technologies. Yes. So the corporate digital responsibility means the data which is produced by the employees should not be used for the exploitation of the people who are working in the company. Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I had to skip so much because it is a very big topic, and we can talk about it for 2-3 days. As I told you that it can be a full-fledged course. Yes. So if you have any questions, we have 5-6 minutes we can discuss, and then you are free to go. Yes, please.
If you, dear students, if you have questions, you can ask Professor. It was a very interesting topic.
If no question, then we can conclude. Yes, Hamdanake?
Yes, Mr. Ammar, it was very interesting. And
Yes.
I especially liked this point, the social boundaries or social connectors about coffee, shisha.
Yes.
We should definitely think about it.
This is a very big, topic. Corporate social responsibility, as I told you that there are special master programs in corporate social responsibility. So it was very difficult to cover everything. So I gave a touch of, a little bit of everything.
Yes.
So in future, we can organize some more in-depth discussions on some of the specific topics. And yes, we can get feedback from the colleagues. If they have specific demands, we can prepare lecture on them and we can talk about it. Yes.